What's up guys, welcome back to another video. Last week we did the whole ignition wiring system and we got sparks, so if you're interested in that, check out the latest video. But today we're gonna work on the clutch and we got some good news for the Fox. So this is the biggest focus we're gonna have today, this whole piece right here. There's nothing under here, of course, because we disassembled it last week. We had a look on how dirty it is, but we're gonna clean it up now and improve it. But let's get the parts that we need to clean and I'm gonna explain what I'm gonna do. So here is my goodie bag. We have the spring that I talked about. Polini, not Polini, who knows. Then we have these two plates right here that move inside of each other and need to move smoothly. As you can see, very dirty. So we're gonna clean that up, re-grease it, put it back together, maybe resurface this a little bit, make it all nice and clean so we don't have any black markers. So when we start testing out the CVT, fine tune it, make it all nice and perfect, we can see where the belt travels, because when I look at it right now, the belt mainly runs right here, which is stock for a Fox or any other moped. Of course, we have those curves. And I checked out why this is curved. Is it a benefit? Is it a disadvantage? And from what I could learn online, this is kind of a disadvantage. What this actually does when it is curved, the sharp angle upwards kind of prevents it from opening up. So when you are at cruising speed, it is a little bit harder to push out. And once you are at a higher RPM, it will open up more easily. Not really a good thing, but not even a bad thing, but yeah. So maybe in the future we're gonna replace that for a better one, a racing style one. But for now, we're just gonna have to work with that. And for the rest, we have the pins and the cup that holds the spring. Now, speaking of this clutch and telling you guys that we're gonna put the stock one back on there, made me remind of a question that I had. Somebody commented on the video and say, why are you putting the Fox back together stock? Why aren't you upgrading? Why are we putting in a 70cc cylinder, upgraded gearing like Molossi gearing, better clutch, better everything? Well, the main problem is budget. We done a lot of stuff on this bike and stuff like this costs money, so we cannot really go balls to the wall and buy everything that we want. We really want to, but we just cannot do that. And the second reason is, if we put it back stock and we upgrade something, we will see the difference. If we put in a new ignition system, we will see the difference between the stock one and the new one. If we put on a 70cc cylinder, we see the benefits of that, the trouble and whatever. Also the CVT, if we upgrade that, we will see the benefits of that. So it's mainly like a science project. We're gonna replace something, improve something, see what the benefits is. And that's gonna be much more interesting than us putting everything balls to the wall, every single performance upgrade part on there and say, hey, the bike runs like this. But if you go from a stock engine to a improved engine step by step, you will see the growth of the bike. So yeah, I hope that is kind of a answer to your question why we're putting stock parts on the bike, money wise and science wise. So yeah, but let's get into it. We're gonna clean up that clutch. I'm gonna use soap and water like I do with every single part that I clean. Hit it with the heat gun so everything evaporates. So let's get into it, clean those parts and get it ready for a minor refurbish. So here it is, the whole clutch mechanism. I cleaned every single part. It is spotless. And also I resurfaced these faces. On this one, there is still some discoloration. I couldn't get that completely out of there, but it's smooth and that was my main concern. Also, this housing looks pretty clean right now. I didn't clear coat this part right here, like I told you before. This is easy to take off, so I can do that in the future. But for now, I want to see if it works correctly. In the beginning of the video, I didn't talk about this part right here with the whole clutch and whatever. I cleaned that up as well. It was a little bit hard to get disassembled. It is really tough, but I got it loose. I got it all cleaned up. When you look at the clutch shoes, that's what we call it. They're all nice and pretty pretty clean. The springs that were in there, they have a white color on them. Is this an indication that there are white springs in there? I was thinking that the clutch springs would be black, like every single thing, but on this clutch it is weird. Like this spring right here, there is a touch of blue in there. Polini or not, Malossi uses white paint on their springs. Are these Malossi springs? They're really tough. At some point we're gonna get new springs and test them out, see what works, see what doesn't work. Now the main concern part was this right here, because I had to keep the bearings in there. I don't have replacement bearings. I don't even have a tool to get them out of there, but I cleaned every single part of it. They look nice and clean, just like I do with every part that contains bearings. I hit it with the heat gun so every single water drop evaporates, so we don't create rust and don't get into any problems. People would say, yeah, replace those bearings now that you're in there, but we don't have a supplier for that. Finding parts for this bike is really hard. We have a couple of shops that carry Peugeot Fox parts, but not a lot. Like even the transition, like normal stuff, those seals, we couldn't find them on that shop. If somebody has a suggestion for what shop we can buy from that has a lot of parts, put it in the comments section down below so we can get more parts and do this thing right. We're doing it correctly, but replacing every single bearing would be nicer. Now I'm gonna have to reassemble this. I'm not gonna videotape it because it's gonna be a pain in the ass to get this one on here, so I'm gonna do that off camera. But let me tell you what I'm gonna use. Of course, the basic tools: pliers, screwdriver, soft hammer. But for lubrication, I'm gonna use Vaseline inside of here. On my mountain bike, my front suspension, I use Vaseline on that and it works good. It doesn't stick, it doesn't clunk up. It's good for metal and rubber because we have seals right in here. We don't want to put in grease that is gonna deteriorate that. So I'm gonna use Vaseline and of course bearing grease for this part right here, the inside. I'm gonna use bearing grease inside of this because they are bearings and there is not really rubber in there. It's made for that, and if there is rubber on a bearing, like a seal that I can see right here, there is a seal right in here. It is specially made for this. Of course, in the future we might stumble upon a better grease for this part, and then we're gonna replace that, see what works and what not. I'm gonna put everything back together and be happy that this is over, because it was a lot of cleaning and a lot of figuring out how I'm gonna lubricate it and whatever. So yeah, I'm just gonna get started and finish this up. So the clutch is back on there and it rotates smoothly, no noise or whatever. I'm pretty happy about that. Even the movement, keep in mind that I couldn't do this before. This is very smooth as well, so it is ready to put back on. Now the plan for this video was to clean this and then just move on to other stuff like the intake, what I'm gonna talk about even later. But I was thinking, why not complete the whole CVT line with the variator? I already resurfaced it. It just needs a little bit more cleaning and more fine tuning. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna completely reassemble that with the belt and whatever. So I'm gonna reassemble everything. I'm gonna put it all back together that it's working and we don't have to worry about that for the meantime. So put the crank seal in, mount this, put the belt on it, put the variator on it, put Loctite on everything and make it all nice and workable. Okay, as you can see, the whole CVT stuff is back on the bike. Now we cannot test it because the bike still doesn't run, but as you also can see, I did a little other stuff. I put in this Champion red spark plug cap. I also moved the wiring out of the way, make it all nice and clean because the shade is almost coming over and he wants to sit on the bike. Also, I did some work for the intake manifold for next week, but let's talk about CVT. There's a lot of stuff that we can still do on this CVT to make it all nice and perfect and make it perform even better. Now, the main thing that you can do with this CVT to make it operate as perfect as you can, despite from weights and springs and whatever it is, the travel of the belt. Make it as small as possible here and as big as possible here. When we look at the belt right here, I don't know if you're gonna see it really good, but the belt can run a little bit higher. Now, for the belt to run higher, this has to be closer together. Now, I measured the space in between and we have 1.76 mils left that this can close up so the belt travels higher. And of course, we're gonna have to enlarge the space right here for the extra travel. Now, to make it run a little bit higher, we have to open this up or make the spacing a little bit bigger. The way you do this, you open this up, make the belt run as high as possible, and then once you have that, you can see how much space you have left, and then open it up a little more, and then it should be perfect. We're gonna have good acceleration, but yeah, that is gonna be when we test it out first. So yeah, that is the whole CVT. I'm pretty happy about it, glad it is on there. Next up is gonna be like the kickstart, get that all sorted out. But I started working also on the intake manifold, as I told you, but I'm gonna explain that next week. This is the Champion spark plug cap and also the wiring. If you're interested in that, check out the wiring video or the no spark fix video. It's starting to look like a real bike now. We are so close from starting, putting a carb and the exhaust on, and we should be able to fire up. So in the beginning of the video, I told you I have some good news, and that is we found a seat and an exhaust for a very, very nice price. Actually, it was from a viewer, the person who saw my videos and asked me, hey, what kind of seat are you gonna put on there? And I told him, we're gonna work our way to that kind of seat. And he said, hey, I got one laying around. Do you want it? And I said, hell yeah, why not? The next thing he says is, hey, I still got an exhaust. And I'm like, yeah. So Yannick, thank you very much for helping us out with a seat and exhaust. It will be very nice on the bike. And yeah, I'm pretty happy about that. But when the seat gets here and the exhaust, we're gonna talk about that a little bit. But it is a very nice exhaust. It is. We're gonna have to do some work on it because it's not for this bike. But hey, what else is there custom built on this bike? Not a lot, and we still have a lot of stuff to do. So I'm pretty excited about that. A start is very close in the future. Shade is also excited about starting. He told me, when you are ready to start the bike, call me up, I'm coming over, I want to hear it. But that is going to be it for this video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to leave a like and a comment down below. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram and TikTok. And if you're not already subscribed yet, subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next one.